Could the solution to Toronto's Mitch Marner nightmare be hiding in plain sight on Broadway, wearing Rangers blue instead of Maple Leaf blue? What if the answer to replacing one of the NHL's elite two-way wingers isn't found in a defensive-minded grinder, but in a pure offensive wizard who could transform Austin Matthews back into the unstoppable force we know he can be? Welcome back, everyone. The Mitch Marner saga has become Toronto's haunting obsession, a wound that refuses to heal even as Matthews himself has begged the media to move on. But here's the uncomfortable reality. Moving on emotionally doesn't solve the gaping hole in Toronto's top six forward group. The Leafs need elite offensive production, and they need it now if this playoff push is going to survive the brutal Atlantic Division gauntlet. Enter Artemi Panarin, the Russian maestro currently watching his New York Rangers career implode in spectacular fashion. At 33 years old, the Breadman remains one of the NHL's most lethal playmakers, a perennial point-per-game performer who makes everyone around him better. The Rangers have reportedly informed Panarin they won't be offering a contract extension, which in NHL translation means, "We're trading you before the deadline to recoup assets rather than losing you for nothing in free agency." This creates a fascinating opportunity for Toronto, but also a strategic minefield that could blow up in Brad Treliving's face if not navigated with surgical precision. Jonas Siegel of The Athletic captured the tantalizing possibility perfectly. On paper, Panarin would obviously be a great fit for the Leafs. He could give Austin Matthews the elite sidekick he's lacked since Mitch Marner's departure. On paper, those two words carry enormous weight, because the gap between theoretical fit and practical execution in NHL trades is where championship dreams go to die. Let's be brutally honest about what acquiring Panarin would mean. Toronto would be betting their entire season on offensive firepower over defensive responsibility, gambling that Matthews paired with an elite playmaker can outscore their defensive deficiencies in a playoff format that historically punishes one-dimensional teams. Let's dissect this potential blockbuster with the cold, analytical precision it demands, starting with the most obvious question: can Toronto actually pull this off, or is this just another fantasy scenario that sounds great on hockey podcasts, but dies in the harsh reality of salary cap mathematics and trade negotiations? The obstacles are formidable and stacked like a penalty kill formation. First, there's the trade package itself. The Rangers aren't giving away a player of Panarin's caliber for spare parts and conditional draft picks. They'll demand a combination of young roster players, high-end prospects, and premium draft capital, the kind of haul that could gut Toronto's organizational depth for years to come. What would a realistic offer look like? Probably something painful: Matthew Knies or Bobby McMahon as the centerpiece roster player, a top prospect like Fraser Minton or Easton Cowan, plus a first-round pick and potentially a second-rounder. That's the price of elite talent at the deadline, and it would leave Toronto's prospect cupboard dangerously bare while sacrificing future flexibility for immediate gratification. Then there's Panarin's full, no-movement clause, the ultimate wild card in any trade scenario. Would he waive it for Toronto? The allure of playing in hockey's biggest market alongside Matthews is undeniable. But Panarin has spent his entire career avoiding Canadian markets. He chose Columbus over Montreal, signed with New York instead of exploring Toronto, and has built his life in Manhattan. Convincing him to embrace the suffocating Toronto media circus and the pressure that comes with playoff expectations in Canada is far from guaranteed. Now, let's tackle the salary cap nightmare. Panarin carries an $11.643 million cap hit through this season, a massive number that Toronto simply cannot absorb without significant financial engineering. The Leafs would need to send substantial money back to New York, likely in the form of Kaye Jarnkrok, $2.1 million, David Kampf, $2.4 million, and possibly even a bigger contract like Ryan Reeves, $1.35 million, just to make the mathematics work under the cap ceiling. But here's where the analysis gets truly interesting. Even if Toronto overcomes all these logistical hurdles, are they actually getting what they desperately need? Panarin would absolutely solve the offensive production crisis. His 2024-25 numbers speak for themselves. He's on pace for another 90-plus point season. His playmaking vision remains elite, and his ability to quarterback a power play is among the best in the league. Pairing him with Matthews would create one of the most dangerous offensive duos in hockey, potentially restoring the top-line dominance that evaporated when Marner left for Vegas. However, and this is the critical flaw in the entire plan, Panarin is not Mitch Marner. He's not even close when it comes to defensive responsibility. Marner was a Zelka Trophy caliber two-way forward who killed penalties, back-checked relentlessly, and could shut down opponents' top lines while producing elite offense. Panarin is a pure offensive weapon who provides virtually nothing defensively. His defensive zone coverage is questionable, his penalty kill time is non-existent, and his physical engagement is minimal at best. This creates a fundamental strategic dilemma. Is Toronto better off with superior offensive firepower but weaker defensive structure, or should they be seeking a more balanced replacement who can replicate Marner's two-way impact? In playoff hockey, where defensive breakdowns get magnified and special teams often decide series, trading defensive reliability for offensive flash is a dangerous gamble. The historical precedent isn't encouraging. Teams that win Stanley Cups in the modern NHL do so with balanced rosters, elite offense supported by responsible defensive play. The Colorado Avalanche's 2022 championship featured offensive stars like Nathan MacKinnon and Cale Makar, but also defensive stalwarts like Devon Toews and Josh Manson. The Vegas Golden Knights' 2023 title run was built on two-way excellence throughout their lineup. So, where does this leave Toronto's brain trust as they evaluate whether Artemi Panarin represents a viable solution or just another high-risk gamble that could backfire spectacularly in the playoffs? The answer depends entirely on how Brad Treliving and the front office view this team's identity and championship path. If they believe Matthews needs an elite offensive partner to unlock his full potential, that surrounding him with pure skill will allow Toronto to outscore their problems, then Panarin makes sense despite the defensive sacrifices. The bet would be that Matthews-Panarin can generate enough offense to compensate for defensive vulnerabilities, especially if Toronto can shore up their blue line through separate acquisitions. But if they believe playoff success requires balanced excellence, that you can't win in May and June without responsible two-way play throughout your lineup, then chasing Panarin is a fool's errand that ignores the lessons of Toronto's repeated playoff failures. Every first-round exit has featured the same fatal flaw: an inability to play complete 200-foot hockey when games tighten up and defensive structure becomes paramount. There's also the free agency angle to consider. Why mortgage the future in a trade when Panarin will be available as an unrestricted free agent in just 4 months? Toronto could preserve their assets, make smaller deadline acquisitions to stabilize the roster, and then pursue Panarin aggressively in July when they won't need to surrender prospects and picks. The risk, of course, is that another team signs him first, or that Toronto's playoff exit makes them a less attractive destination. The temptation of playing in the NHL's largest market, under the brightest spotlight, alongside a generational talent like Matthews, could be irresistible for Panarin. But it could also be terrifying. The pressure in Toronto has broken stronger players than him, and at 33 years old, does he really want to spend his final elite years under that microscope? Here's the bottom line. Artemi Panarin would make Toronto's offense spectacular, but he wouldn't make them a complete team. He's a luxury item when what the Leafs actually need is a balanced diet of skill, grit, and defensive responsibility. The idea is seductive, the on-paper fit is undeniable, but the practical reality is fraught with complications that could derail Toronto's season rather than save it. What do you think? Should the Leafs go all in on offensive firepower with Panarin? Or is this exactly the kind of flashy move that ignores the fundamental flaws that have plagued this franchise for years? Drop your thoughts in the comments and smash that like button if you're as obsessed with dissecting Toronto's championship puzzle as we are. The trade deadline is approaching fast, and every decision Treliving makes will echo through this franchise's future. We'll be here analyzing every angle as Toronto's fate unfolds. Stay locked in.